Hi there, welcome. It is February 6th, 2026, which I actually had to pause and think about what that was, but that is the date. And I am Trisha Broderick with Ignite Insight and Innovation. And I'm coming live as I do each month, although this one is I'm doing it a little bit early, trying to get in a couple different things. So I tried to schedule it for a split second, but then I did PM, not AM. Look, people, we're all doing the best that we can. And we're going to just make it work and figure it out as we're going along and just deal with it. So I'm going direct live and see how this works, and it should be good. So today's topic is collaboration. And I got to say, tips for collaboration. And this week I have gotten to collaborate a ton with different people on some projects, with a co-author on a book. And it's Friday and I'm energized. I'm happy. Like, I'm tired. Like, that's the interesting thing about collaboration. You're productive and energized, but also exhausted all at the same time. But it is such a cool feeling, like, each time when I get to a place where I'm like, oh, this is so much better than if I had done it myself, right? Or I just feel in it with somebody else and in a team. And that just, look, I'm an extrovert. It's fine. I get energy from it. So, but that doesn't mean I'm always a great collaborator. Doesn't mean I'm always good and the best collaborator, despite my desire, my intent, and things like that. It's just it's hard. Like, my brain has a way of working. Somebody else's might have a different way, and it's not always easy. And I posted a quote from Lead Without Blame, the book that I co-wrote with Diana Larson this week, about taking time and investing in time to build that collaboration and that relationship. And there was a great question that got posed of what are some of the ways that you know you're headed in the right direction. And some of the ways I know is more vulnerability and better results, right? Like, those are the two things that I look for most to know that it's headed in the right direction when I'm collaborating. But it doesn't always mean I'm the best collaborator. And so there are sometimes things that I have to do. And these are just a couple tips that I do to be a better collaborator or try to be a better collaborator when I'm doing it. One is really understanding goals. So I may have a set of goals in this collaboration. They may have a set of goals in the collaboration. And it's important to know which of those goals like we share and which ones are different. They can be different in different ways. So for example, we're co-writing a book right now, and one of those co-writing of that book, like, I have a specific goal. I want to learn about this version of how we're going to publish this book compared differently than how I did the last book. But he has a totally different goal, and those are okay. Like, we can have different goals while we're collaborating. The key is, do we also have shared goals, right? What's the impact that we're writing this book about? Why are we trying to do this? What are we trying to accomplish with that? And that's going to be powerful in those ways. And so me knowing upfront what are our individual goals and then what are our shared goals helps me to kind of keep that perspective, because there might be something that they focus on. I'm like, why are we focusing there? We don't have time to do that. And I forget, unless I know, oh, it's tied to one of their goals that they have. It's important. And it just gives me that lens, that perspective to help make sure that everybody's needs are being met and why we are trying to collaborate together and what that's about. So that's number one. And those goals could change over time. So make sure you're kind of checking in as you're going along. I know one of my goals had changed for the book that we're writing. I was like, no new, like, I want it to be more of a resource book. That's already out the window. That goal has changed as we're going forward with it. And that's okay. But be open and having those discussions, understanding what that is for the different collaborators as you have. Two, kind of builds right off of this first tip, is the ability for me to let go. Not always easy. I'm a control freak. Like, my brain works really fast in those regards. I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I love my check marks. So I just want to get things done. Right. And at the end of the day, that's not conducive to collaboration, right? It's not conducive in terms of both letting go of your own control. Like I just had this scenario we were writing, and I had it in my head how it needed to be written, how the sentence needed to be written. I was like locked in. And out of my mouth came the words, fine, go ahead and play with this, but it's either going to get completely removed or it's going with the way that I want. And I heard myself say the sentence. I know, not a great collaborator sentence, but I heard it as I was going. I was like, wait, you are in control mode, and this is not helpful in collaboration. And I was like, please go. And I actually disconnected from the screen for a second. He kept writing. And as I disconnected from the screen, I was like, okay, now come up with fresh eyes, right? Come up, let go of the control, let go of how you thought it needed to be, and just read what was written. It was good. It was good. It was the right thing to write. I was wrong. But when you don't acknowledge that it might be a control thing, or at least for me, I don't acknowledge that it might be a control thing, then it becomes problematic, right? Like I don't create an environment where we can collaborate, where I'm shutting things down too quickly. And the problem is the stronger I am with that, the more the other person will just defer. And you don't want that. That's not collaboration, right? And so I have to really, my type A-ness, I have to check. And it's not always easy. It's not like we're human beings. I'm human, right? It's not always easy. I can teach about this. I can lead about this. I can write books about this. And it doesn't mean that is easy for me to let go of the control. It's just a reality. But I have to be cognizant of it when I am collaborating with others, when I am working with others on things. Which again leads into the third one, giving space. Not only is it a control thing that I have to be careful about and really paying attention to, but it's also intentionally giving space. What I mean by this is are you always the first person to offer the idea? Are you always the first person to write the sentence? Are you always the first person to make the decision or move the thing forward? Or are you allowing enough pause, enough time, enough space for other people to contribute, for other people to get their idea out, to voice a concern, to share a thought as they're having? Unfortunately, a lot of times, as I've shared before, I think with this sometimes, and that can be problematic. That can be difficult to have enough space for somebody to interject. I'm very transparent about it. I try to be upfront. It's like, if I'm doing it, I'm excited. It's not meant to be rude, but it doesn't mean it's not rude, right? And so as I go into this, I have to really kind of pause and think, how am I showing up? How am I engaging in this collaboration? And when I'm really in it, it's hard for me to remember. So this is where it can be really beneficial to have a leader, somebody kind of watching the environment as a whole, because I don't want to be a bad collaborator, but there are times that I'm just so excited, so engaged, and things are flying out of my mouth that I didn't give a lot of space for somebody else to contribute. And that's not good. And that's not my desire. Really, ultimately, it's not going to result in a good product or a good value that we're trying to deliver. And so I've done little things like I will take notes on a Post-it note to avoid it flying out of my mouth to give space. I will make concerted efforts to like, okay, what do you think, or where you're at with this, or try and let somebody else take the lead with it. Again, my control issues can come into play, but it's something that I try and be intentional about and really create that space where we're feeding off of each other and not dominating or not deferring on either end, either sides of the collaboration. And it can get to a place where that can magically just happen where you're not thinking about it anymore. Sometimes that happens because you just get to know each other so well that you know how to feed off of each other, how to interject. I have a collaborator that I work with a ton, and he'll say things like, I'm just going to keep talking until something like pings for you and you like fly out. And I was like, oh yeah, that totally worked, right? And so you start to get to know each other's mannerisms and things that they struggle with to figure out how to kind of engage and interact with it and collaborate together, which is for me the coolest thing. Like when I just did this week with one of my colleagues where we kind of did parallel working session. Like I'm working on something, she was working on something, but as we were doing that, if something came up, we could talk to each other on Zoom real quick with it. But we've worked together for so long and in different capacities that it's just comfortable and it's just ease for us to, hey, I could use your idea on this. And what are you thinking? And it made it feel very supportive and engaging and also productive on every level with it. Because the cool thing is you don't just feel productive for what you got done, you feel productive for what everybody got done. And that's an awesome dynamic. So those are my 3 tips, but I always want to give kind of a bonus one and calling that out. And the bonus one that I want to highlight and call to attention is when you're collaborating, you're still going to be human. You're going to have these challenges and hopefully tips to trying to overcome them, whether it's thinking about the goals or giving space, but to take the time to appreciate during the collaboration. And that appreciation can come in many different forms. I talk a lot about that. It can be in the form of truly like appreciating the product that you're building. That happened to me not even 15 minutes ago, where my co-author that I'm writing with right now, he was like, I got to read our portion of this, one of our chapters to somebody, and I was just proud, and it was awesome, and I felt excited about that, and it makes me like, okay, when's our next session, right? Like, and I want to get engaged. And so you can appreciate the product that you're building and what you're collaborating and working on, but you can also appreciate each other, right? Earlier this week, I just called out and it's like, I am smiling each morning knowing I'm going to get to work with this individual. And it just makes me happy because it feels supportive, it feels productive, it feels engaging, it feels challenging, like to level me up in different ways. And I wanted to express that. I wanted to highlight that. And when you get those kind of compliments, even when there are struggles working together with it, you want to engage again more. You want to come at it in different ways and in different areas. So this is a interesting dynamic when it comes to collaboration. It's so powerful. It's so needed, but it doesn't mean it's always easy to collaborate. It's easier to cooperate and just kind of like, hey, here's my part. But to truly collaborate, to build something together with somebody else or multiple people means being intentional. And those are some of the tips that I do in order to be intentional with things. I don't have many public offerings coming up. I have one Leading Amazing Teams course in May that's publicly listed. Otherwise, everything's a little private right now. I do have an upcoming announcement that will be coming soon, little teaser. And so when I come back live the next time, we'll have more to talk about and to highlight when it comes to that. But in the meantime, keep collaborating, keep delivering value, and stay in touch. See you next month.